Welcome to Thursday's shared reading session on Chapter 9 of Tide the Tiger. I hope you're doing really well. I hope you've enjoyed the shared reading activity so far this week. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the sense of smell. This is something that comes up quite a lot in this extract. This lesson is really just building up for tomorrow's lesson, where we're going to write a formal written answer about smell. Today is like a preparation lesson where we're just going to be exploring the extract, finding out exactly what it says, trying to work out the meaning of what it says. So we're really well prepared, hopefully, for when we come to write our answer tomorrow. We're going to be getting some quotes in this lesson just to find our evidence, get our evidence ready before tomorrow's session. Just to start our activity, I would like you just to consider, what are your favourite smells? What is it that you smell and you really enjoy it? Now, the picture I've got represented there represents my favourite smell. I love freshly baked cookies. I think it's a lovely smell. Slightly strange one as well. I like the smell of petrol stations. I enjoy filling up my car and I enjoy the smell of the petrol station. Does that make me a bit strange? Possibly. Just if you've got someone at home, it could be a sibling, it could be an adult, just have a discussion with them. What are your favourite smells? Great. Now you've had some time to consider your favourite smells. I bet there's some people, some children in the class have come up with some really interesting, probably quite funny smells, and so have the people that you're with as well. I bet they've come up with their own ideas too. We're going to continue the lesson and we're going to read through our extracts as we do each day. Now, yesterday our focus was on settings. Today our focus is on smells. So when you read through the extract today, try and identify anything that is to do with smells, anything that is to do with Boots and what he is picking up by way of his sense of smell. Have a read through. Now you've had a chance to read through the extract again, I think it's just worth clarifying the meaning of a couple of words. Um, I've underlined two in red, and these are really important words that the author Lynn Reid Banks has used instead of saying the word smell. So the first one is odours. It says the strong evening odours of green things and living things were in his distended nostrils. Okay, nostrils is like your nose basically, the holes in your nose. Okay, that word odour is another word for smell. Okay, I think it's unusual the way she's used it, the author, because odour usually means a bad smell, a negative. It's a negative kind of word. So you think about an odour that you might have in the house, it'd be sort of a nasty smell that's come from somewhere. I don't even want to suggest it. Maybe some smelly feet might have left a bad odour in the house. I'm sure that's not the case of any of your feet. So that word odours is really important. That is another word for smell. That will help you in this activity that we're doing today. Another one that I've underlined is a bouquet of aromas. Now, that is a much more positive, that sounds like a much more pleasurable smell. So the word bouquet, it often means like a bouquet of flowers. It might be someone would really appreciate, I'm sure, receiving a bunch of flowers, and we call that a bouquet or bouquet. I'm not sure how to say it. Either a bouquet or a bouquet of flowers. And the word aroma is another word for smell. Okay, the word aroma is like another word for a pleasant smell. So that phrase, bouquet of aromas, basically means a set of lovely smells. Okay, so these are two words, phrases, which should help you in the next activity. So here is today's activity. We're doing an activity called Identify, and you are going to be identifying how many different times Banks mentions smells in this extract. I've given you the first one for you. This happens right at the start of the extract. It says that he could smell something like sour water. Obviously, that turned out to be wine. I'll give you a little bit of a clue. Most of these phrases are in the second part, the second half of the extract. So do read it all. It might be that I've missed one. You might find one that I haven't. But most of these phrases to do with smells are in the second half of the extract. Um, I put it in quote marks just because it's good practice. We're finding some words, we're copying them exactly from the text. So we do put those in quotation marks. See if you can find these quotes about smells. If you could get about 5, possibly 6 in total, you'd have done a really, really good job. And afterwards, we'll go through the answers together for this one. I think it's important that we get the right answers for today's activity. So have a chance, do it by yourself, and we'll go through the answers afterwards. So how did you get on with that task? Perhaps you've got a list of quotes which look something like this. The first quote that I found was, "A breath of fresh air with some interesting smells wafted in past them." So this is referring to the two legs who've come to the door, and they've brought with them these smells. Not quite sure what they are, but it says a mixture of fresh air and some interesting smells. We can only imagine what those might be. The next quote I got is that the strong evening odours of green things and living things. So Boots has smelt green things and living things. I presume that means plants and trees. That would be the green things because they have a green colour to them. And living things, that could be other humans, it could be other animals, birds, etc. Strong evening odours of green things and living things. The next one I've got is that tantalising bouquet of aromas. So this seems to be a general sort of idea that the mixture of all these different things which he's smelling, it becomes tantalizing. We talked about that word meaning something that you really, really want, which is just out of reach. That's how this combination of smells is described. And then the final two, we've got the smell of the natural world. Remember, this is where Boots has come from. He started off as a wild tiger. He was taken from the jungle to Rome to live a very different life. But the natural world is uh, is where he'd probably feel most at home. Okay, imagine what that smell would be like if you were an animal and you'd been spent all that time living amongst humans in the human world, and finally you smelt that smell of the natural world. It's going to mean a lot to you, isn't it? And lastly, the smell of freedom. So he's had his freedom taken away from him. He's got no freedom in his life. Lots of decisions get made for him. He gets fed what his keeper decides to feed him. He can't go and hunt his own food. He can't go and live where he wants to live. He is basically under control, isn't he? He's been tamed and taken away his freedom. But now he can smell freedom. It's that close. He can sense it. He can smell it. So um, perhaps that's the only one that isn't actually a real smell. It's more like a sense of freedom, but the author has described it as a smell of freedom, and I think that's quite interesting. And we'll go into all these things a bit more tomorrow. So that's today's lesson done. I hope that you've found that interesting. Perhaps you didn't quite realise how often smell was mentioned in this extract. Well, you do now, and this is going to set us up really nicely for our written answer that we do tomorrow, in which we're going to explore this even further. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see you tomorrow.